All right, can you see this? I got my little Master Gardener badge on because it's official today, friends. I have seen people waste thousands of dollars when trying to grow their own food. And today I'm sick of it. And so I'm going to tell you all the different ways that I've managed to grow for my family of 5 on a super tight budget. So let's get started. So first, and this may seem obvious, but I promise you it's not, only grow things you're going to eat. This usually will mean making a list of things you're actually going to eat if you grow them, so that when you go to the garden store or open up a catalog or go on the website, you don't get like tantalized by all of the things that look either cheap. Maybe you see really cheap seeds and you're like, oh, I'll get that, maybe I'll eat it. You're not going to eat the bok choy, probably, so have a list. Don't buy anything that's not on your list of things you will eat. Second, if you are specifically trying to grow your own food to save money on your groceries, don't grow foods that are already really cheap at the grocery store. So things like potatoes, carrots, onions, cabbage, like those are already really cheap at the grocery store. So I personally suggest focusing on things that are more expensive, or if you think there's like a substantial difference in taste. So for me, like fresh carrots out of the garden are a completely different vegetable compared to like carrots at the grocery store. So I plant lots of carrots. But if it's about the money, other things you might focus on are like herbs. Herbs can like produce all year, you dry them out, and they're so much more fragrant and fresh and cheaper than getting them at the grocery store. Tomatoes, peppers, lettuces, spinaches, etc., etc. 3, there's a financial term called opportunity cost, which you should also apply to your garden, because there is only so many square feet of space you have in your garden. And if you want to think about getting the most bang for your buck, think about how intensively you can plant in these little square foot. So if you want to actually go and read, there's a book called The Square Foot Garden, which is a great like beginner gardening text. But if you can have 1 square foot that will give you 1 broccoli plant or 16 carrots, you should think about what is the way to get the most vegetables out of whatever space you have. This is also where things like vertical gardening, like growing things on trellises or poles or the like, is very helpful because it helps you stretch the amount of food you're able to grow into these smaller spaces. I don't know about you, but I do not have like an acre of land to grow on. I've got my yard, and not all of it's good for growing stuff because some of it's really shady. Next, let's talk about seeds. Oh, I have all of mine. Here are my little seed containers. So when you're looking to buy seeds, make sure that you're getting, if possible, heirloom seeds, which means those are seeds that you can plant it, the plant grows up, and it can produce seeds that you then just save, and you can go and go and go and go and go, and they perform true, and you're going to get the same plant each year when you plant those seeds you saved, which means you buy it once and you never have to buy it again. Those are the good kind. If you're looking to find free seeds, which who isn't looking to find free seeds, you can check at your local cooperative extension. So you're going to type in on Google the name of your state cooperative extension, and you should find a few different locations that are in your state. Sometimes, oh, that's not the one I wanted. Sometimes you can get like little free samples of seeds from your cooperative extension. Sometimes the people who work there will know about when or where there will be some free seed exchanges where you can just show up and get a bunch of seeds. You can also check, if you check Facebook groups for just like free seeds or seed exchanges, you can find I've gotten some seeds through Facebook before. And even local libraries will sometimes either host a seed library where you can just get seeds for free, or they will be able to point you in the direction of another local seed library, maybe like a garden club or something has one of those. But yes, you can find free seeds of actual vegetables. The other thing to focus on if you're trying to get like the best bang for your buck in your garden is looking to buy perennial fruits or vegetables. There's not as many of these, and sometimes it is more of an investment up front. But when I say investment, don't freak out. Like I remember 5 years ago, I think, I paid $15 for my raspberry plants, and I have literally gotten hundreds of dollars worth of raspberries from those $15 because they spread, and every year they come up and they give me more raspberries. Those are the kind of plants you want, the kind that keep coming back and back and back and back and back. And they don't have to be like a tree. You don't need to grow a whole tree, although you can if you want, but not many people have room to like plant an orchard, you know? But small fruits, raspberries, blueberries, strawberries, asparagus is something I'm gonna try this year, hopefully. Jerusalem artichokes or sunchokes, if I can find them. If anyone in here is going to be growing sunchokes or has access to those tubers, you should let me know in the comments. I'd like to talk to you. There are plenty of fruits and vegetables that give you food every single year and you only had to pay for it once. That's the kind of food I'm talking about. But sometimes you can't get free seeds, you do have to buy seeds. The two places I recommend when buying seeds, one is Fedco seeds if you live somewhere colder, as in not like Arizona. Fedco has amazing, amazing seeds. They're local to me in Maine. I've found their prices to be very reasonable. The other one I like is Burpee. Actually, I've got some seeds. These are some of the Burpee spinach that I planted with my kids. Just like a week and a half ago, and they're already popping out, so that's nice. We can't wait for that. Burpee tends to have more sales from what I've noticed, or like coupon codes, or if you do like Rakuten for cash back, Burpee will give you, I think it's 2.5 cash back right now. So I'll leave links for both Fedco and Burpee seeds in the description, because sometimes you do have to buy seeds, but I would suggest buying online if you can, because they will give you a larger quantity packet compared to like the little, this is like the 99-cent dollar store packets. Like there's like 6 seeds in this packet. So you will get more seeds if you're buying them online, because they're going to be slightly larger bulk, which is nice. Oh, I should say this. Save your seeds in cool, dry places. This has been my little jar that I've kept in the fridge on and off for the last 5 years. Some of my seeds are still producing year after year because I save them carefully and I don't let them get hot or moist and anything. So even if I bought a larger quantity of seed one year, I can still be using those seeds for years to come, which is pretty cool. However, sometimes you don't need seeds, but you need seedlings. One, you can try growing your own seeds from home and using some kind of grow light. That does get expensive though, especially if you're a beginner gardener and you're a little worried about trying to start seed starting. I still don't start my own tomato or pepper seeds just because it takes time that I don't really have as a busy mom right now. And I don't focus on growing the kinds of plants that need to be started indoors. I do a lot of direct sowing, like straight into the ground, like my carrot seeds, my peas, which are already out in the snow, or some squashes. But if you want to grow things that require seedlings, I highly suggest looking for like charity or fundraiser plant sales. For example, the Master Gardeners near me have a fantastic plant sale they put on every year, and that's usually where I load up on my plants if I can, because I know they're going to be like the best quality for the best price. You can go to the big box stores, which are going to have good prices, but the quality is not always fantastic. Or you can go to like your local Fancy Pants nursery, which is going to have lovely quality produce and seedlings, but you're gonna pay for it. So I find the happy medium is for like charity fundraiser plant sales, if you can find them near you. All right, that's all I have to say about sourcing your cheap plants. However, you can't just have plants. Gotta have stuff to put them in, like the soil, and sometimes you need stuff to let them grow up on. Plants aren't the only thing you need to do, and this is sometimes where people really pay through the nose and they waste lots and lots of money. Take care of your soil, because if you are trying to grow on rocks or hard compact clay that's got like bits of concrete in it or whatever, you're gonna have a hard time growing things. And so if it means having an entire year where you focus entirely on building up your soil, if that's what you want to do, it'll be worth it if you're gonna be in that space for more than 1 year. If you aren't, or you just don't wanna worry about that, you wanna start growing stuff this year, container gardening is really good for most. There are very few kinds of plants that you can't grow in container gardens. I honestly can't think of any right now. Some of them you might get a little creative, like potatoes or whatever, but they can be done. But if you're hoping to grow in your ground, composting your kitchen scraps, you wanna see mine? You probably don't. This is my compost bucket. It sits next to my sink. Yes, it is something that used to be a little ice container from a hotel, and no, I didn't steal it. We bought it at a salvage store. But it's a really good container for my compost, and so I have a box in the back, not a box, what's it called? My cube that I made from pallets that I scavenged, that is the term. The term of the day is scavenge. Scavenge all the things. Scavenge your compost buckets, scavenge your pallets, scavenge the manure if you want to make friends with the farmer. I know not everyone lives within like easy driving distance to a farm, but I recently was on Marketplace and saw that there was someone in my area who had a goat farm and they needed help getting rid of their goat manure. If you were willing to shovel it yourself, they were offering it for a very reasonable price. So yes, I went and I shoveled some goat manure for a while and I got some from my garden, and it's gonna be so worth it. I can't wait. I've also used the lasagna garden bed method before when I was trying to build my brand new beds from scratch. It's where you just put down cardboard straight on the grass and just build up over time different layers. What do you have around you? Do you have things that can break down and turn into soil? Do you have leaf or like leaf litter? Do you have grass clippings? Do you have kitchen scraps? If you've got manure from any animal, not a dog or a cat, because they can sometimes have toxins, but rabbits, chickens, goats, horses, cows, load it all up in the garden. And if you layer it all up and then if you can top it with topsoil, fine. But if you let that break down, it's going to turn into fabulous soil if you just give it a little bit of time. And so that's what I've done. I've layered it up. Sometimes once I did seaweed, because we live near the ocean here, there's a lot of different ways you can take care of your soil without going to Home Depot and spending like $300 on like 2 bags of topsoil. You can make quality soil. It either just takes time or containers. Remember I told you about your cooperative extension. You can also go and see if you can order a free or very low cost soil test from your cooperative extension. This is one of those do as I say, not as I do. It probably will revoke my master gardener credibility, but I've actually never done it for my own property. It's a good idea to get your soil tested just in case. And it'll tell you even like what kind of nutrients your garden needs. So it's like, man, you need a lot more nitrogen. You can make sure that there's extra nitrogen in your soil, whatever. All right, enough about soil. I said scavenge. There are 1,000 different ways you can repurpose, recycle random things in your life to be helpful in your garden. So for example, I think I mentioned this in a previous video, but you can take, I've got a bunch of these on my porch right now. These are my little greenhouses that are outside where my spinach seeds are hanging out, and they're doing a great job growing. Milk jug. 5 seconds before I started filming, I bumped into my Venetian blind and the piece of this snapped off, but these are actually really good in the garden too. You can write like carrots or the specific kind of thing, and you plop these on the ground and they make very good like labels so you don't forget what you planted where, which that would never happen to any of us around here, right? When you have things like tomatoes, sometimes you need to tie up their little vines so they don't droop and like have all of their fruit touching the ground and then rotting. And sometimes if you have to tie up the little vines, like you can buy safe vegetable plant ties so that your plants are just hanging out properly. You know what else works really well? Is if you just cut up fabric, like an old t-shirt, and then you just use those strips of fabric to tie them up. That's what I've been using the last couple of years, and it just works fine. I'm definitely one of those people who will stop on the side of the road if they see trellises, like free, look with the free sign. I've definitely picked up trellises and other like random scrap wood that I'm using to make like raspberry runners. One time I was driving by a yard sale and it was the end of the yard sale and there was a lady trying to just get rid of everything in her garage, and I saw a bunch of cattle panels. Is that what you call them? It's like the wire, you know, and I turned them into a trellis for my squash last year, which was really freaking useful because I needed some squash trellises. There's a lot of ways to find free or super, super cheap stuff if you're looking on Marketplace, yard sales, side of the road. It's also like worth remembering that some of the YouTubers who have these pristine, gorgeous properties aren't the norm, and they aren't the only way of gardening. You can just grow your own food and it'll taste really good and you can enjoy like the satisfaction from that. It doesn't have to be beautiful. Oh yes, right, but if you must buy things, if you absolutely can't find tomato cages on the side of the road or whatever, check sales in September. I know this doesn't help, I'm posting this video in March or April, but September is when I have found the really, really good salvage sales or clearance sales when the stores are trying to get rid of all the gardening stuff to make room for Christmas decorations probably. I have scored like the high quality, really durable tomato cages for $1 each a couple years ago that they're still like in perfect condition. And the last thing I'll say about materials, if I had tried to just immediately the first year I wanted to garden, put in the perfect garden, it would have cost me an arm and a leg. From the tools to the materials, to the seeds and everything. Instead, I've just slowly added year after year, little things here and there. I also I tell everyone I know that when my birthday comes around, which is in springtime, luckily, I just want garden things. And so that has been a nice gift, is that usually when my birthday comes around, I know people are gonna give me garden stuff. It does help subsidize my addiction. So finally, 2 points about the actual growing season. The first is that a lot of people are worried about pests and weeds and stuff getting in their beds that they don't want to be in there. The biggest suggestion I have if you're trying to do that on a budget is just to be in your garden frequently. The more often you're looking around and you're noticing, oh, there's a weird weed here, and you can like kind of be picking stuff up, or you start to notice the beginning of a bug problem. I'll usually go into my garden with like a cup full of warm water with a little bit of Dawn dish soap and some kind of sticky device because I don't like touching the bugs. And you can just kind of like pick all the bugs that you see. Not all the bugs, some bugs are really good bugs, but for example, I'm not letting any tomato hornworms or tobacco hornworms stay on my plants. So they will come into my little dish soap cup. I've never once this will be our 6th year having a garden in this property, I've never once purchased any kind of insecticide. I just stay around my garden and I just use my hands and I take care of things myself. And it's worked so far. The only years that I've had problems with bugs were years when I was in like a community garden plot and I couldn't visit it very regularly, and it would give the bugs time to take over all my plants. But if I'm in my garden regularly and I can see the problems going on, I'm gonna get them. And lastly, I suggest you take notes if you're gonna be gardening for a long time. I think it's very interesting to go back and look at, so like this was 10 years ago, my community garden plot from the summer of 2014. I was growing beans, peas, rosemary, kale, tomatoes, leeks, carrots, chives, onions, peppers, sage, cukes. Man, I was ambitious for a 2-bed plot. I was also single and in college and didn't have to worry. This is adorable. Oh, little Hillary. Look at this. Mostly I had problems with my garden and very few successes. But that's what 10 years. What year did I do my Master Gardener certification? 2016? Yeah, 2016. I've learned a bit since then. Keeping a notebook can be very useful, especially if you're going to stay in the same place. And year after year, you can like track what things are growing well in your soil, what aren't, what you can do better next time, and it's good. If you have extra time on your hands and you want to go be a certified master gardener and volunteer in your community to help food insecurity, it's a very worthwhile, very, very worthwhile program. I highly suggest it for anyone who likes gardening stuff, and it's not that expensive, and there were scholarships available. So yep, go check out your cooperative extension. They're lovely people and they want to help you with your garden problems. Let me know in the comments if you've got any gardening questions. I can't promise to know all of them, especially if they're about like growing in a desert, because master gardeners are trained for their area, but I'll help you if I can, and I will see you next week. Bye, YouTube.